We're at the Texas Pinball Festival. Monster win for Godzilla at the Twippies. Arabian Nights, The Forgotten Tales revealed.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Joosten. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Martin Ayub, and I'm the editor of Pinball News, and we're here to look back at all the events in the pinball world that occurred during the month of March 2022.
Right, and it was quite an eventful month.
It certainly was. It was action-packed and...
action-packed and packed with news. We got so much stories to tell you. But let's start with, basically the biggest event of the month, the Texas Pinball Festival.
Yes, we're back for 2022 after the 2020 and 2021 shows had to be cancelled due to COVID. So, 3-year break and back at the same location. But
bigger than ever. Both.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was so delighted and so eager for the show to return, and they weren't disappointed, were they?
It was like a family reunion.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a very extended family, given how many people were there.
Oh, yeah. I think they had the most attenders ever.
Yeah, well, they had the pre-sale tickets from 2020 and 2021 as well as the those who were new to this year's show.
Right.
So, as I said, there was a huge demand for shows to come back, and this isn't the first show post-COVID, if we can call it that, but it's probably the biggest, and I think it's it was a huge success. So, congratulations to the organisers, Kim and Ed Van der Veen and Paul.
Yes.
So I think they can very happily sit back and have a little bit of a break after their work.
Yeah, I think they raised the bar for everybody. This show was so well organized, and I think they were running low on volunteers, but nobody noticed any of the attendees, or I don't think anybody noticed that they had a smaller team to run the show with. No, and it's still a great show.
Noticed. And although, of course, as with all these things, when we're travelling, when we both flew out and flew back from Dallas, and of course on that we get a sort of the sniffles a bit, and so apologise in advance if we're sounding a little nasally or a bit throaty, and Jonathan in particular I think has a bit of a throat condition after that, which I'm sure will go up in no time.
Definitely not used to being in air-conditioned air so much.
It was very heavily air-conditioned in that hotel. It was I think it was like 28, 29 degrees outside on the Sunday, Celsius, of course, and inside it was quite chilly. So there was a lot of air-conditioned air pumping around that building. But I haven't heard any reports yet, although it's early days, of anybody catching anything particularly nasty or COVID related. So
I just had it.
Well, you've just had it, yeah, but I haven't, and there were no masks or anything like that required. But people were being careful and sanitising their hands, and I think it was a good model for how a show can go ahead in these current times.
Yeah, and like I said, well organized, lots of vendors with great booths.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the companies, because I think nearly all of them had a presence of some kind at the Texas Pinball Festival. So we'll pick up what happened there, what they were showing. So start with the biggest, I suppose, Stern Pinball.
Yeah, they shared a booth with Marco Specialties and the Fun Superstore. Mm-hmm. I think they had over a dozen games in there. Rush, Godzilla.
Oh, it had loads. Yes, I did actually make a list of them all, and I put it on in the Pinball News report. I was watching them on video and counting them all as I was going along. But I reckon there were. I'm just scrolling down through our report now to try and find the list, because I was typing it all out last night as I was watching the video. And it takes
While you do the count,
4 hours.
Let me refer people to the Pinball News coverage of the Texas Pinball Festival, a great report that you will find on pinballnews.com.
Thank you very much. There were 10 Mandalorians. Let me get that in first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Martin
12
can count, people.
machines.
Martin can count.
Yeah. And
well, Martin
I
is
think
doing...
the other one was Godzilla, really, wasn't it? There were I think
right.
there were 3
lots
or 4
of rushes
Godzillas
as well.
Yeah, I said there were 12 rushes, I think.
Right. Okay.
So it's a big stand anyway from Marco Fun and Stern Pinball, and very impressive as it always is at that show.
Right. Now, speaking of reports, Martin wrote his, which is impressive as ever. I started writing mine, which isn't finished yet because as soon as I came back, I had other obligations to attend to. Mm-hmm. That report will be finished rather soon. It will have a different take on the show than the suburb job that Martin already did. Looking
forward to reading it, and of course you were delayed on your return flight as well.
But quite heavily.
Yeah, we could do an entire podcast on that, but
we won't.
We won't. No, we'll for this Pincast we'll carry on with Stern Pinball at the and what they've been up to.
Let's get the boring part out of the way first. Loads of code updates.
Yeah,
not related to the Texas show, but let's just get them out of the way.
All right, okay, let me get on with the more fun stuff. So the Mandalorian had a code of 1.22, which allowed R-rated speech to be included, and added the Insider Connected with 83 achievements, and so that finally got that cleared by the licensor. A couple of updates for Led Zeppelin, gameplay bugs, and it seems like in a sort of underlying system-wide change recently, they introduced a bug which meant if you power the game on with the coin door open, it would reboot, which is a bit embarrassing. But that seemed to have made its way into Led Zeppelin and Rush and Godzilla as well, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So all those games.
So it took a while to figure out what's causing it.
Well, yeah, then they had to fix it in all those games, but at the same time, they added other things as well at the same time. So,
which explains the extreme amount of code updates.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So there are, as I say, there's Rush, Godzilla, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Led Zeppelin all got new code updates, and I'm not going to bother going through them all because they're all pretty much the same. They're all bug fixes, more sound, more music, more light shows, and a fix for that coin door issue.
Right. Okay. So more on to the fun stuff. While we were at the Texas Pinball Show, Stern also went to the Amusement Expo International in Las Vegas.
Yes, that's right. They were represented there by Gary Stern, Seth Davis, John Buscaglia, Evan Kirby, Patrick Powers, Tyler Carson, and Ryan Craven. So a big turnout from Stern there, and they were on Booth 104. If you were there, you probably know that. And that was in the middle of March. That was the 14th to the 17th in the Las Vegas Convention Center. And there they won the AMOA Innovator Award for their Insider Connected platform. So congratulations to Stern for that.
Don't want to rain on your parade, but I'm not sure whether that awards means anything in the sense that it's an award show. It's an industry award show. Everybody knows everybody. And, hey, we got something new. Oh, yeah, sure, we'll give you an award.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how that particular one works or how prestigious it is. But we got plenty more awards to talk about in a minute that were probably which are voted for by the public. So then maybe they carried a little more weight. But, it's nice publicity for Stern, and keeps pinball in the public eye, or at least in the industry eye, amongst the AMOA membership.
Right. So, and speaking of shows, Gary Stern and Doc Score are currently in Italy for the Enada Primavera show in Rimini.
Yep, on the Faro Play stand there. Interesting that it's just that those two who are there, and not Seth Davis didn't go to that show.
No, he did go to the EAG show, by the way, which was actually also at the beginning of this month.
Yes, we'll cover that a bit later, but I can tell you exactly how that went.
Sorry to rush ahead.
Because I was there and I had a good chat with Seth while we were there, and he did some presentations. But more about that later.
Right.
So that's the shows. At the at Texas Pinball Festival, we said there was a Marco Fun Superstore stand, which also featured Jack Danger and Mike Vinicore there on their doing camera presentations, on-camera presentations, I should say.
Right.
They had their usual setup with they were interviewing people, and to be honest, I was too busy to pay much attention to who they were talking to there. But I dare say they will be appearing on either on the Stern website, YouTube channel, or on Marco's channel.
Right. So, and then, well, we were already speaking of awards. Texas Pinball Festival does have does host the TWIPY Awards.
Yeah, it brings us to our second headline, really, doesn't it? Which basically was Godzilla sweeping the board with a monster win in numerous categories.
Well, basically every category that the game could win, it won.
Yes, that's right. I think it won a total of 11 awards. Game of the Year, gameplay, layout, toys, gimmicks, animation display, light show, theme integration, artwork, best rules, call-outs, and music and sound effects.
Yeah, and you know the fun part? I never played Godzilla up to when I got to the Texas Pinball Festival, so I finally got to play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a very fun game.
It is. Yes, good. I'm glad you agree.
It's almost Pinball Magazine approved.
It's almost award-worthy.
Yeah. So
yeah, and also at the TWIPY, Stern won the accessory of the year with, as we were just talking about, the Insider connected system. So a good sweep of the board there, pretty much for Stern at the TWIPYs.
Right. So and well, that put them apparently in a sort of joking mood, I suppose you could say that. Today we're recording our podcast. It's April 1st, or April Fool's Day, if you wish, where Stern announced a Fraser pinball machine.
Yes, that's right. On their social media feeds, they had a mocked up Fraser pinball, badly mocked up, I have to say.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, it's almost like
two faces being. I think the face of Daphne has a flipper button in it.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think the face of Ross, I think it is, the technician in the radio studio, is covered by one of the hinges from the back box.
It's almost like whoever's doing it either was doing it deliberately badly, or doesn't know how to pin an image onto the side of a cabinet and just rotated it instead.
Right.
Which is what they've done for all of them. So I think it was probably deliberately badly done, so as to not appear as a genuine product. But it was fun, and I'm sure it caught a few people out.
Yeah.
So, apart from that, they've also been busy elsewhere on social media. They released a behind-the-scenes video for the making of the Mandalorian pinball.
Right.
And there's been some other social media activity as well.
Yeah, singer Dua Lipa. If you have to be into current music to know who that is.
Mm-hmm. I think even I've heard of that.
Right. She posted a photo on her social media, posing in front of a row of Stern pinball games, saying she has an affinity for dive bars.
Yes, not sure that's a compliment or not, but saying that's where you'll find Stern pinball games, in dive bars. But
yeah,
but even so, it's all good publicity, isn't it?
Right. Well, she has a gigantic following, so it's good for her to promote dive bars, I suppose.
Good, and we mentioned a video just now about the making of the Mandalorian. Stern also released another Drinks with Jack video, which was that from Expo? I think it was from Expo, wasn't it, where they recorded those? Yes. Yeah, with special guest Gary Stern because he never appears very often, and new president of the company, newish president of the company, Seth Davis. He's been in role now for about 5 or 6 months, I think. So So, but back then, when that was done, which was in October, he was only been there a few weeks. So interesting to see, do a compare and contrast with his thoughts then and his thoughts now.
Right. So, and that sort of wraps it up for Stern Pinball, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's been a busy month, and it's been a busy month for them as well. So let's move on to their neighbours up in Elk Grove Village, Jersey Jack Pinball, and they've been busy, and they're looking to grow their team.
Yeah, these are actually vacancies posted at the beginning of the month. They're looking for a mechanical engineer, custom service manager, and a controller. But during the Texas Pinball Festival, there was a seminar with Jack Cornieri and Steve Ritchie, in which Jack actually mentioned these vacancies again.
Right. So, one of the customer service manager is Barry Engler, who moved to American Pinball, as we reported last month. Right. Whether that's his vacancy. Mechanical engineer, well, I think that will tie in with how they're looking to restructure the teams at Jersey Jack Pinball. Controller, no idea what that is. So anyway, if you fancy working...
you were 5 minutes late. I was controlling you.
Yes. Well, obviously not controlling very well. So if you're interested in any of those things, send your resume to careers@jerseyjackpinball.com. And tell them which role you think you would be best in. Interestingly, I don't think we've mentioned it before, but I did notice that Jersey Jack Pinball always used to have the sort of tagline. Having said that, I can't remember what they're. Oh yeah, Jack of all trades, master of fun. Right. That's right, which was, of course, coined by...
That's so outdated.
It is. So they've changed their tagline now. It seems to, we make fun and games.
Yeah, which is actually a line from a Guns N' Roses song.
Okay. Do you know which one?
Yeah, let me think.
Well, Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we make fun and games. Yes. Okay. Well, there you go. So that seems to be their new tagline.
So what could it be with the next game then?
Oh well, we could speculate on that. But I'm sure
we make fun and toys.
Yes.
Or toys and games.
Well, I suspect they're going to stick with that one for a while anyway. But yes, so going back to the Texas Pinball Festival, as you mentioned, Jack and Steve were there in a seminar hosted by Ken Cromwell,
which I have to say he did very, very good.
Yeah. It was a nicely controlled and tight and on time and interesting because there's some good information came out from that.
Yes.
However, one thing which didn't come out from that really is the sort of elephant in the room, which was about the playfield issues that they've been having.
I didn't see any elephants at Texas Pinball Festival.
Yeah. Well, just goes to show that you were looking in the wrong place. It was right there in the room. I mean, anyone could have seen it. But yes, so that really wasn't covered. It wasn't covered by Jack, I don't think.
No, actually, Jack did cover it at the end of the presentation when people were asking questions. But prior to that, Mirko Stefan of Mirko Playfields in Germany had a seminar where he was asked about the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Asked very forcefully by several questions.
Yes. And in this case, I feel I have to stand up for Mirko. As a third-party contractor, he was probably told that he could not discuss that, and that's basically what he told everybody, that he was not allowed to talk about that, which I get, because, I mean...
Yeah.
If you buy a car and you have a problem with the tires, you're not going to call Michelin yourself. You're going to go back to your dealer or to whoever made the car.
Yeah, it's a contract between the playfield manufacturer and the game manufacturer that ends up with that playfield being in the game, and the game manufacturer is the one who has to honour any warranties.
Right.
Not the playfield manufacturer, not all the parts manufacturers. If you've got, as you say, if you're Stern and you buy a Stern game and the coil stops break, you don't go and hunt down the company who made the coil stops and go and complain to them. You complain to Stern.
Right. So that is this is a similar situation. I understand that people feel like, yeah, but he's right there.
Yes, that's right. And he was there to promote another product.
Yeah,
which we haven't come on to yet. We'll probably mention that a little bit later about that new game kit, which is available. But
I'll make a note in other news.
Thank you. It was people were using his the playfield quality as a stick to beat him with about the potential quality of his new product. I was saying, if you're producing quote defective playfields, how do we know that your new product is going to not be defective? So
right.
Anyway,
which is and I have to be fair, it is fair of people to wonder that, because we had those problems with Willy Wonka playfields. At that time, we were promised it would not be the case with Guns N' Roses, and they were still there.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I think Jack said something that it would not be the case with the next game.
Well, obviously, but it's to a degree it's outside his control, isn't it? They have to use the playfields that they get,
right,
and from whoever they source them from, and it was I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, okay, so it's obviously you've got a playfield issue. You can't just giving somebody a spare playfield is not much use if you then got to do a playfield swap yourself, because how many people are capable of doing that, particularly on a game as complicated and complex as Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
So there is no easy answer in a situation like that. So
you think that's for your warranty as well?
Well, yeah, almost certainly. So anyway, that wasn't really addressed. That's what I was going to say, but there were some interesting points that did come out of that, and also one of them was that Jack said that they thought they would announce their next title by, I think, June or July, and it was still possible that they would announce 2 new titles this year.
Yeah, there's actually a rumor going around that second title has to be announced this year, because else the license would be taken away. That's something I find very hard to believe.
We've had that suggested before on other, and we might even hear something about it a bit later as well from another manufacturer, but I doubt it.
The thing is, it's not just one license. I mean,
that's true. Yes.
If you license a movie, you're licensing not only the rights for the movie, but the actors, the music, and that's all different licenses. It's no longer like in the old days where you made a deal with the movie company and you got everything. No, now you have to talk to 5, 6, 7 different companies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I think to say they'd all run out
right
at the end of the year.
Secondly, even if there is something like a lustrum that has to be celebrated, and the game should be ready for that, even then. Well, we've seen it with Homepin, where they had the Spinal Tap one that should have come out last year, and then there's supply chain issues, hiccups, and what have you.
Well, no, if they wanted to bring out, if they said we have to have the games ready for a launch event for the license, I'm sure they could put together some prototype games, take them to the launch event, but that doesn't mean they've gone into production yet.
Right. And the other thing I was going to say, licenses can always be extended.
Yes, that's right. It costs money usually, but yes, you can do it. But it depends what the terms of the licenses are. I know whether there's an upfront payment or whether it's a per machine payment, in which case, it doesn't cost anything if the game isn't made yet and they extend it.
Yeah, but still, you can't develop let's put it differently. The development of a pinball machine usually costs about $1 to $2 million. And then you still have to get into production. You can't just put $2 million up in the air and hoping that you beat a deadline that the licensor set. And if you didn't, then too bad you can't release the game. That's never going to happen.
No, and of course there'll be clauses in the contract for that eventuality. Anyway, they are currently making Guns N' Roses, as we know. Hopefully, the next title will be announced June, July time. And
probably sooner, I suppose. But
it could be sooner. But we did hear. I think we mentioned last time that we thought they were winding down production of Guns N' Roses,
right,
to lead into the new title.
Yeah,
but it could also lead into remakes or reruns of previous titles as well.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because there were questions asked on Facebook whether Willy Wonka would be rerun, and apparently they don't have any plans for that right now.
Right, okay.
That's just one of the titles that could be rerun, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it probably deserves a rerun. I think it's a very good game, having played it a few times. But just going back to the Guns N' Roses thing, and Playfields in particular, Jersey Jack Pinball and Ken Cromwell were very generous indeed in donating a Guns N' Roses playfield to us for use in our So You Think You Know Pinball prize quiz, which we held at the Texas Pinball Festival, 6 p.m. on Saturday evening.
Right,
so that
which
was
is not
amazing prize.
Not the usual Friday, but still,
which is good because it meant we got more contestants, and we also had more time to get prizes, including that fantastic one from Jersey Jack Pinball. So thanks for them. And it was because it was a bit of a last minute deal. We didn't have it with us, but they very kindly offered to ship it within the continental US to whoever won it. So that they've got the details for that winner, and he will be receiving that hopefully soon.
Right. Okay. So there's one more comment I'd like to make on the playfield situation. We just mentioned when we sort of feel that the next game is coming. At the Mirko seminar, he was asked whether he would be making the playfields for the upcoming Jersey Jack title, which he couldn't comment on, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But he also did say that he's completely maxed out on his production. Now, if he's not making playfields for a new game, I don't know. I feel he must be making those games, else he would not be maxed out on his production. I mean, he's not making whitewater playfields or so in such large quantities that he's maxed out. He would be maxed out, so...
So you think he's making them now, then?
So my suspicion is I expect him to be making playfields now that are shipping to Chicago. And and that's pure speculation. But that's just adding one and one together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all good stuff, yeah.
I'm going to make a bridge here from Jersey Jack Pinball to American Pinball.
Right, well done.
Because they also have vacancies.
Do they indeed? Who are they looking to hire?
Let me take a look.
Would that be the in-house purchaser, the quality control, production line, and final game tester positions?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
how did you know?
What a guess! Wow.
So, if you want to work in pinball, there's really, literally, plenty of opportunities. If you're in the area of Elk Grove Village or where's American Pinball?
In Palatine now.
I was going to say it starts with a P.
Yeah.
So, and moving on to American Pinball while we're there.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations to
indeed.
David Fix, who got promoted from Director of Operations and Marketing to being Executive Vice President at American Pinball.
Yeah, congratulations, David. We've given him congratulations in person, of course, because we see David quite frequently. So and speak to him even if we don't get to see him. So it's very very nice of him to do that, and or to get that position, and also we can thank him for also contributing a lovely prize to our quiz in the form of a Legends of Valhalla printed screen black glass.
Right.
So real genuine glass one. So that was a very nice prize for somebody to win.
Right, exactly. And it makes me wonder, now that David is no longer director of operations, are they looking for a new one?
Well, they're not advertising yet, but we were sort of joshing with him that he should appoint a deputy or an assistant, given his new elevated position.
Yeah.
And he was considering it, yep, no question about it.
So, and well, there's some nomination news for awards. I'll let you handle this one.
Yes, also, we were talking about the AMOA earlier, and this is the American Amusement Machine Association, AAMA. American Pinball were nominated for Manufacturer of the Year. Unfortunately, didn't actually win. That was ultimately won by Raw Thrills, but nice to be recognised and in the running for that prestigious title.
Right. Speaking of Raw Thrills and the Texas Pinball Festival, of course, I keep hearing rumors that people are either hoping or expecting Raw Thrills to enter the pinball market.
Yes, we've had this a few times in recent months, or even going back a year, I'd have thought. And I don't know. It's I hear differing arguments about this. On the one side, people will say, well, they're not selling their large $20,000 pieces into family entertainment centres because they've all been closed and they're not buying new equipment. On the other hand, I'm hearing that they're selling everything that they're making. So I don't know which one of those is true. Two contradictory sides of the coin. But also there's the question of, obviously, Raw Thrills is run by Eugene Jarvis, and Eugene and Gary Stern are very close friends and have been for many years. So would Eugene get into competition with his good friend or not? Right. But then there was also the fact that Raw Thrills just bought. Well, Raw Thrills up until now haven't had any manufacturing capability to build their own games. They always contracted them out.
Yes,
but they've just bought one of those contracted companies, so they do actually own their some manufacturing capability. So would that potentially be used to make pinball machines?
It's even more interesting as you mentioned that Joe Balser is a buyer for that company.
Yes,
Joe
that's
Balser,
right. He works there. Yes,
Joe Balser being a former pinball designer.
Indeed, yeah. So and keen to get back into the pinball business as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So
lots of facts and suggestions and ideas to throw around there, but no firm facts just yet.
No,
about
but
whether they're going to get into pinball.
A lot of people hoping that Raw Thrills will get into the pinball manufacturing side of things.
Well, it would be a big push for pinball if a company like Raw Thrills sees it as a big growth area, and they think they can use all their game design expertise in order to leverage their entry into the market. And also don't forget their own play mechanics, as well, which a certain Mr. Mark Ritchie works.
Yes, which is also a former, or maybe not former, pinball designer.
Yes, we'll talk about that a bit more a bit later. But anyway, so American Pinball were also at the Amusement Expo show in Las Vegas in March.
Quite a delegation, I have to say.
Yes, they had 10 games there. Oh no, sorry, this is skipping forward to Texas Pinball Festival.
No, I'm talking about the delegation. I think they had Scott Golax and Frank. Forgot his last name for a second. Yeah. The designers of Legend of Valhalla were present. Dave Fick, Steve Bowden, Barry Engler, of course, and a bunch of other people. So they were very big staffed at the Amusement Expo in booth 1448, if you were there. And
Right, and moving forward a bit, then of course they had a big presence as well at the Texas Pinball Festival, as you would expect. Had 10 games there. They had, I think, they had 4 Legends of Valhalla, 4
Hot Wheels.
4 Hot Wheels, Houdini, and a Oktoberfest. Yes, the Oktoberfest and the Houdini were new runs, which were made in the current American Pinball cabinets rather than the cabinets that they were made when they originally came out, and also running the new hardware or new electronic system as well.
Right. And interestingly, Dave Fix mentioned to me that the Houdini game originally was, or what they did with the upcoming new run or current run, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. He said they went into power management of the game, and I was like, so what does that mean? As it turns out, when the game originally came out, they only used one type of coil for everything.
Yeah.
And
just to keep it simple.
Yes, to keep it simple. And now they went back to the drawing board, and they selected a coil for each mechanism to be the right coil for that mechanism. So the strength differs, which is affecting gameplay also a lot, I suppose.
Yes,
assumably
one of the problems I think was that because they were using big coils all over the place and driving them hard all the time, even when they didn't need to be, they were generating a lot of heat within the game and drawing a lot of power that they didn't need to. So, and of course, if you've got switch mode power supplies or switching power supplies within the game, they really don't like being overdriven and would tend to shut down if you drive them too hard, unlike a transformer, which will just drop the voltage. Mm-hmm. Now they think they don't have that problem anymore, and they're using the appropriate coil for the appropriate use, which it means they've got to use more coils or different types of coils, but ultimately produces a better, more reliable game.
Right. Now, I didn't actually play Houdini, the new Houdini.
No, I didn't either, no.
So I can't compare it. I do have to say, I did play Hot Wheels for the first time and Legend of Valhalla. Hot Wheels is... sorry. I found it a very fun game. And then I moved over to Valhalla, to which I have to say that the art package is not a package that makes me really tempted to play the game. But what a surprise this game is. What a fantastic game Legend of Valhalla is. I was really blown away what fun that game is. So I highly recommend anybody that has any doubts, could this be a fun game, give it a try. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, good news there. I didn't get a chance to play any of those games during the show, which was just always so busy. I normally get to play about, 8 games of pinball the entire weekend, and this year was no different.
Oh yeah, well, I got to play mostly during build-up, and
I was busy taking pictures and talking to people doing this.
Doing your job, I get it.
But the only game I got to play, which I think is a new release. Oh no, two new releases I got to play. I got to play Ultraman, and also got to play Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity as well. But that did involve queuing up for about 10 minutes in order to get my go. But fortunately, I had quite a good game, so it was all worthwhile. And I'd have been really hacked off if I'd queued up for 10 minutes and then had 3 house balls. That would have been annoying. But it didn't happen. So anyway, we were still with American Pinball, and there were some more announcements in the American Pinball seminar at the Texas Pinball Festival, weren't there?
Yes, I'll let you handle those because you were present the entire time. I only walked in.
Yeah. Well, they did say that obviously we've covered before that Barry Alsler sadly died very recently after just joining the company. he did bring a game to American Pinball and was working on it for the short time that he was there before he died. And
before you continue, I think we have to. From what I understood is that Barry Osler was announced recently to be working there, but he actually already worked there for a little bit longer, I'd say.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Officially, then, shall we say?
Yes.
But he was working on the game, and David Fix announced at the Texas Pinball Festival seminar that they would be taking that game into production, which was very nice. And he also put together a very nice tribute video for Barry, and Barry's wife was there as well in the audience, and he invited everybody to come up and talk to her and relate their happy memories of Barry and what Barry meant to them. So that took up, probably half the seminar almost in that time. So very nice. So I was able to contribute a few pictures to that tribute, which David put together. Also, there was another announcement, which was that artist Christopher Franchi would be doing the art for an upcoming game for American Pinball. Now, he's not exclusively working for American Pinball, but I think that would be his first game working for them.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, that would be Dennis Norman's game.
Right, yes, which I think is I think that's the
next title in line and non-licensed.
Yes, that's right.
So that will be the first time we get to see Christopher Franchi doing original artwork for a game.
Is that true? Oh, right, that's right. Yes, that's a good point.
Everything so far is done has been licensed.
Yeah. Oh, that will certainly be interesting to see how that turns out. So, as you mentioned, they did say they'd be rerunning Oktoberfest and after that Houdini, and they said they were going to open up 2 lines and potentially 3 lines.
Yes.
Once they really get going with their next game. So it sounds like it's all full steam ahead at American Pinball.
And while it's nothing, they also released a code update for Legend of Valhalla.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they do their code updates based on dates. The version number is based on the date. So this is 220327 year, month, date, and it improves some of the multi-ball modes, adds extra call-outs, improves the wizard modes, and has some bug fixes. So if you're lucky enough to have one of those Legends of Valhalla, make sure you're updated with the very latest one that just came out a few days ago.
Right. So, and then something that you know a little bit more about than I do. There was supposed to be a difficult announcement.
Yeah. Not sure exactly what it is, and I didn't get the details. But something was supposed to be or thought would be announced this week, which wasn't going to be entirely positive. But apparently it didn't. So either it didn't happen, or it'll come out later after this, after our PINcast is over. So keep an eye out for any more American Pinball news.
Right. Okay, and that concludes our coverage for American Pinball.
I think it does. So let's move on to one of the other exhibitors at the Texas Pinball Festival. I mean, there are many, but Pinball Brothers were represented there on the coin taker stand.
Yes, and in the form of Roger and Cato.
Yeah, and they had a very nice gazebo tent affair with alien branding all over it, inside which were 2 limited versions of Alien and 2 standard versions. Yes. I think that's the first time the limited version's actually been at a show or a public event.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was nice to see. I did actually get a chance to play that during setup. Having said I didn't get to play any, I did. Briefly.
I was amazed. I've seen the underside of the playfield of Alien, and if you compare that to certain other titles, this is mostly white PCBs.
Yes, I put
with
a picture
very,
in
very few wiring. Yes.
Yeah. During the setup phase, because I had the playfields up, I thought, I'll get a picture of that, because I was amazed just looking at the underside of that playfield, yeah, as you say, it looks like there's hardly anything on it, because it's kind of it's whitish wood and whitish PCBs underneath. So yeah, and just very short leads running from the PCBs to the various mechanisms and switches things.
Yeah, so Pedretti Gaming, who is building these games, is basically showing people pinball is easy.
Well, I suppose a lot of preparation goes into making the board set and making it look that easy.
Right.
But yeah, it's very impressive. We were talking about there's half a mile of wiring in old CERN games, but it looks like there's a few tens of meters of wiring in an Alien these days.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very interesting development, I would say. Very cost effective, also.
Yeah. So you asked Roger about what's happened at the company recently, and what did he have to say?
Well, I asked Roger whether he would be willing to come on our podcast, or PINcast, I should say, to discuss basically what they did to get Alien to where it is now, and future plans for the company. And then he said, "Let me think about that," because this was close to, or way past midnight, I suppose, on one of the first evenings of the show at the bar.
It's always the best time to get people to commit.
Right. So, and then the next day he came back to me, and he said, he explained to me that Roger and Kato have been very involved in the development of Alien, and once that was in production, they decided to step down a little bit, in the sense that they are now more like shareholders, and the basic running of Pinball Brothers is handled by Daniel Jensen, who also runs Free Play in Sweden. So if we would want to know anything about the company, we should talk to Daniel, which is fine, but I asked, can I report what you just told me, and that was fine. So that's what we can tell about about Pinball Brothers, that they had a slight restructuring of the company, in which Roger and Kato sort of reduced their activities being involved. And
that is interesting, though, because I thought they would do that, but I didn't think they'd do it yet, because they've still got the Queen game to bring out, which we saw at the beginning or the end of last year.
Right. And we might still see it, and Roger and Kato have been heavily involved in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought they actually, it was beginning of last year when it was available, and the end of the previous year. But that was a highway pinball development, as was Alien, and of course Roger and Kato were both heavily involved with highway pinball right at the end before that closed down. So,
if I may add,
yeah,
Queen is also a Barry Osler game.
Right. Not is it exclusively him, or was he and Dave Sanders working on that?
I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Yeah, I think most of those were sort of collaboration games, but as to what the split was, I don't know, because it started off as a wide body game, didn't it? And then it ended up in a narrow body in the version that we saw. But yeah, I thought they'd get that into production and promoted, and then maybe reduce their roles in the company. Makes me wonder whether Queen isn't going ahead, or if it is.
No, I think from what I understood, Queen is going ahead, but it's sort of for me an indication that the game was sort of ready to go, but the timing isn't right yet.
Right. Okay. Well, that's probably true.
And that might have to do with Pedretti not being still working on Alien production and other stuff.
Yeah, well, they only just started shipping the limited version of the game, the LV edition. So still got plenty of work to do to fulfill Alien orders, and I suspect after this show, they've probably got a whole bunch more.
Right. Yeah, I think the game was very well received.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's also let's start a rumor here. Usually we're not that, but
no, we'll state the facts, and then
I'll state the facts, and I'll let everybody then add one and one together, or not. Sorry. So I think if you know who is who, everybody at TPF could see, especially the industry insiders, I suppose, that Roger and Cato hang out quite a lot with pinball designer Mark Ritchie. And, well, they're apparently very close friends, which is very nice. I think Mark came over to the UK once when
he did indeed,
when they were involved in Pinball Brothers, so they met and they developed a friendship, which is interesting to see, I would say.
Okay,
so take that leave it for what? Yeah, leave it with that. Take it as it is.
Okay, and with that, I think we're pretty much done with Pinball Brothers, and probably time to move on to Spooky Pinball, because they also had a nice stand at the Texas Pinball Festival with 2 Halloween and 2 Ultraman machines set up.
And some merchandise.
Plenty of merchandise, Did you get to play those games?
Yes.
Both of them, or just one of them?
No, I played Halloween and I played Ultraman.
Oh, well done. You did better than I did. I only got to play Ultraman because that was the only one that was available. That's it. People seem to want to play Halloween more, which is maybe not surprising, and it's a more recognisable title, I suppose, in the US.
Well, I'm not that much into horror themes.
No.
Alien is my cup of tea either, and Halloween, I don't think I've ever seen the movie either. I found it how shall I put this? It's not a game for me. The sound package, and it's probably spot on with the movie, but I like my games to be have a little bit more action type of power driven music. I mean, this was so scary, I would say.
Yeah,
which is probably the intent of the movie in the first place. So very well done by Spooky, but not a game for me. Also, gameplay-wise, not a game for me. Yeah, and I'm not saying that Spooky didn't do a good job. They did probably the best job that they could with this theme, but the theme is not for me. And also on Ultraman, I really want to get into the playfield layout, but I don't know Ultraman either, so I'm completely confused. Like, what am I doing, and what is the screen telling me, and what's going on?
Yeah, I know what you mean. As that was the only one I played, and I don't know anything about Ultraman either.
I figured out how to lock the balls, and that.
Although I found it very difficult to actually make the shots to do it, because you have to shoot the 3 scoops on the left-hand side if it's that multi-ball, and I could only shoot 2 of them for some reason. It was probably me, but it was, to me it felt because of the theme. It kind of had a feeling of competing against Godzilla, because it's a Japanese theme, and from the same kind of era, I guess. And the multimedia package of the video and the audio kind of looked a bit Godzilla-y in terms of the colours and the feel and the animation, and it just, I don't know. I think if you're putting yourself up against Godzilla in that way, you're always onto a bit of a loser, as we've just seen.
But if you want to copy a game, then copy the game that's winning all the awards.
Well, I don't think they were copying it. I think it's just by nature of it. But it suffered by comparison. But the other thing I really didn't get, I didn't understand why it was there. Those lifters that they have in the in lanes to feed the ball back to the flippers.
Yeah, they're hidden.
You can't see the action of them, and they slow the gameplay down by a huge amount, and they tend to surprise you as to when the ball's going to actually reappear, because you can't see when the ball is released.
Well, I don't like it when I'm not able to see the ball, especially that close to the flippers.
Yeah, I was constantly just, every time you put the ball into a scoop, you're constantly looking at the flippers, waiting for the ball to appear from one side or the other, and not looking at what's going on the screen and giving you the instructions or anything like that. Okay. So a clever mechanism, I just don't think it's a particularly good use of it. It'd be much more beneficial further up the playfield.
Yes, I tend to agree with you. Still very well engineered, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's part of what didn't get me into the game, because that ball is rolling down the inline, and you have like there's maybe an inch and a half before it hits the flippers, and that you actually can see the ball. So you have to be very responsive, or trap the ball immediately and then try to aim your shot, which is taking all the flow out of the game.
Yes, although I will say that I think there's just been some new code updates for both Halloween and Ultraman version 1.06, and I think they've enhanced the sort of warning that you get when the ball's about to be released.
There is a little flashing light.
Yeah, I think that's been improved now. So it's more obvious when the ball's about to be released from the lifter, from the under playfield tunnel to the playfield level. So right, hopefully it won't come as so much of a surprise. And I don't know whether, unfortunately, it's not one of those things that you can kind of you can wait for too long or have people blow off the animation if they've already seen it a million times, because it's actually physically got to lift the ball with a stepper motor from under the playfield to the playfield level, and that takes a little time to do.
Right.
So it does slow down the flow of the game.
Just to prevent that people think that that I'm bashing spooky pinball, I had the same issue on Alien. On Alien, it's a little different, though. There's no ball lifters, but there is actually the two ramps are covering the entrance of both the in lane and the out lane. You have no clue where that ball is going. And I find that very uncomfortable playing, I would say. Sorry.
Okay. I was just, what you were saying there, I was just musing that maybe a better way with a spooky game is to stage a ball in each of the lifters, so that you can start moving them sooner. Instead of having to wait for the ball to roll down the tunnel to actually reach the lifter, you can actually start moving it up if there's one already staged in there, kind of like they did with Star Trek: The Next Generation. Although, having said that, there were plenty of issues with the operation of those on that game if the optos aren't working properly.
Yes.
Or diverters.
Right. Okay. So, oh well. Yeah, that's almost all the news for Spooky. There's probably one more note to add. People have been wondering when, if and when TNA will be going back into production.
Mm-hmm.
If that will happen, it's most likely going to be after the run of Halloween and Ultraman, and then the next title, and instead of the next titles going into production immediately.
And do we know this is going to, if it does happen, whether it will be TNA 2.0 or whether it will just be a rerun of the previous version?
Well, I've seen some comments by Ben Heck, who is referring to TNA 2.0 as TNA 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it's an upgrade, but we don't know.
Okay, or even if indeed it's actually going to happen. But if it does, that's probably when it takes place.
Probably after the Halloween run, yes.
Okay, so moving on to Multimorphic, who are relatively near to the Texas Pinball Festival and had a very nice display there.
9 games.
Indeed, yeah, 9 games. They had 2 of the Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity, although they're mostly kits, so they could have gone into any of the machines.
Yeah, but they should have brought more.
Yeah, probably. There were big queues to play that game. That was obviously the most popular. But they were showing off the range of different games and modules that they had, so it was understandable that they did that. But they had a limited edition, which is the one with the topper, and they had a standard edition of Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity there. And I got to play that, and as I said before, I had a really good game, and I think I got a long way into it, and I found it very entertaining. Obviously, it's a very, very noisy environment. I'd want to hear a lot more of the music and the quotes, but yeah, it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. Did you get to play it?
Yes, I had to stand in line. I think I played 2 games on it. I really sucked. I didn't get that far into the game, but I was watching gameplay with others. I'd say congratulations to Multimorphic for not only a great game, but basically they brought like the game of the show.
Yeah,
this was the game that everybody wanted to play.
Yeah, I think they definitely got the biggest lines, and yes, I think it was. I was really impressed by the graphics. I originally saw them, I thought they might be a bit clunky, but when I was playing, and you sort of get that big the big wheel spinning around on the playfield, it really is attention grabbing, and it just looks so bright and fun. Really, it puts the fun back into pinball after so many sort of dour and serious, intense themes. This is one which actually makes you smile and laugh, which was so desperately needed. I mean, I laughed when I saw the topper just in action, which was very nice, and I think a lot of other people did, because right at the end of the seminar which Jerry held with the Multimorphic team, he said we just quickly run the motor for the topper animation, which is the accordion. And that got a good laugh from the audience. So it's there aren't many toppers you can put into action and you get a big laugh. So I think that's very fitting with the game. So what else? Well, there was the first ever live stream of Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity, which was done by their good friends at Buffalo Pinball, which you can watch.
It wasn't during the show; it was actually prior to.
It was,
Texas.
yes. Yep. So you can watch that on twitch.tv/Buffalo Pinball, or one word, if you want to go and watch the stream, and didn't get a chance to play the game at Texas show like we were lucky enough to.
Yeah, although no exception for being in the industry, just queue up with everybody else.
Absolutely, yeah, quite right too. I guess if you got there early enough before the show opened, you could.
No.
Oh, you were there.
I tried.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because I wanted to get to know the game better.
Well, that's a good indication you've got a hit on your hand when even all the industry and the setup people there are wanting to play it and lining up. Yeah, and they have shipped the first games, I think, or first kits.
I think the first game shipped, and I think there was a complete game unit, so cabinet and everything in it.
Oh right, okay, because there's a moderate lead time for the kits, and there's quite a longer lead time for the entire cabinet, but I guess they would have had some in stock in preparation for this. But if you've already got a P3, and then you'll be able to get your Weird Al kit a lot sooner than somebody who's ordering the base unit as well.
Right, okay. So I suppose that... let me add that in the Multimorphic booth, obviously 9 games there, I also got my first shot at playing Heist.
Oh, right, okay.
Very interesting game. I played like probably being drunk, I don't know. But very clever use of animations, very well integrated into the game. I think they really did an outstanding job with that game too. So if you're already buying a Weird Al game, you might as well get the Heist module as well, because you're going to enjoy that too.
Yeah, I found the rules on that were very clear as to what you had to do. And you try to put the gang together. You have a certain amount of time to recruit each member of the gang, and if you don't get them, then they get put into jail, and then you have to break them free. Yeah, you try and break them out in order to put the gang, get all the members of the gang in order to do the heist. It was well explained, and the shots were clear as well, which is always a benefit.
Yeah,
helped with having that big video screen. To point you at what needs to be shot. So yeah, and the crane
that's one of
toy as
one
well
of the
is amazing.
few areas where I feel that they might actually indicate the shots a little better. But it's probably my only complaint about the game. For the rest, I was very, very impressed.
Yes, maybe have it as a sort of training option or a display option that when the ball comes to the flipper, you can have the guidelines from there to show you what shot to make, rather than just having arrows sort of halfway up the playfield to tell you, which is not necessarily where you're looking. It's kind of you're looking at the flipper, you're looking at the shot needs to go. You're not necessarily looking in between that.
Yeah, that's one thing. What I also found is that the game, the Weird Al game, is actually giving a lot of cues what you should be shooting for on the display in the back box. That's not where I'm looking at. So I actually see those when other people play, but not when I'm playing myself. So
it's a good way to learn the game, I guess. Before it's your time.
Yeah, that's why we had all the cues. Everybody's trying to read the rules. I kid. Yeah. Oh, well.
Okay, moving on. Because just around the corner from where Multimorphic had their stand, Chicago Gaming also had a big stand and with almost as many games. They had 8 machines, had all Cactus Canyons.
Yeah.
2 limited editions, I think. I think there were 2. With the interactive topper, and they were popular throughout the show as well. Of course, even though they had 8 of the same model, effectively, they're always lined to play those. So clearly a very popular title, even though it's not a new one. Of course.
No. So have you played it?
Oh yes, many times. Yes. I was playing it during setup.
The new. Okay, you played it. Yeah.
So I played it. I played it at IAPA as well. In November and at the Texas show as well. So I managed to break it when I was playing it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's always a good thing,
Well, I didn't say
field
break.
testing.
There was a ball trap right at the very back of the game, which had myself and the technician from there puzzling over where on earth the ball went. You sort of shoot it around the back of the bad guy, and it disappeared. And we could never find it again. Well, we did find it again. I found it after about 5 minutes of lifting the playfield and putting my hand around the back and all that kind of stuff. And eventually it was stuck under a plastic, which you couldn't see. But anyway, I don't think that problem really occurred after I pointed out where the issue was. So that's what playtesting's for. To find these issues.
So, and Chicago Gaming represented, of course, by Ryan White and Butch Peel.
Yep, that's right.
Very nice to see Butch again. Ryan also, by the way.
Yeah. They had a good show there. Butch did the seminar about the making of Cactus Canyon,
which was quite interesting.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Butch always gives a good presentation.
It's always good to see. Well, basically his presentation was, or at least the bit that I saw was, okay, they were dealing with supply chain issues, and while they were waiting, they might as well improve the game, which is what they did.
Well, yeah, there was also, went back to the very basic principles of it. Okay, well, here's what we got with the original game. How can we make it better? What can we do and what don't we want to do? Well, we're not going to change anything on the playfield as far as shots go, or functionality down there. So that was the number one rule. But given that, there's a lot of other things you can do, and of course they've even added the topper mode as well, and put in Bionic Bart and things which were missing in the original, and a lot of cosmetic changes as well. And originally, when they first came out with that wooden apron on the limited edition, I was in two minds as to whether it was a good idea or not. But having seen it, maybe they've changed it, toned it down a bit. But having seen it on the games at the Texas show, it looked great. Yeah, definite upgrade from the standard bottom apron, which is metal but has the guns on as well.
Right. So I'm just curious, and I'm just going to ask you this: when playing Cactus Canyon, the remake,
yes,
did you find the lock shot to be tighter than on the original, or was it just easily to shoot for you?
Well, to be honest, I've always found that quite difficult, that lock shot, far more difficult than it should be. But yes, I found I was just off a little bit. I was always hitting the stand up next to it, which
Yeah, that won't lock the ball.
Yeah, which was annoying because I kept trying to compensate for it, and yet it didn't seem to make any difference. So but no, I did start multi-ball, so it's not that difficult. But
no, but I heard several people mention that they sort of feel like that lock shot is tighter than
I think it is.
But then again, those Williams games from back in the day, those are
quite worn now.
Exactly. So
so that whole is probably a bit easier. But no, I did find that it was harder to backhand that lock shot than it was on the Williams game. That's
right.
all.
Okay. So,
any other news from Chicago gaming?
Well, I'm not sure whether this is how to put this, but okay, rumor has it, and yes, I know we usually stick to the facts, but
so we'll bear that in mind when we're saying it's a rumor.
Right. The rumor has it that there is going to be that one of the games that Chicago Gaming is working on could be Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
And
that rumor's been around for, well, the rumor of the game, at least, has been around for quite some time.
Right. And apparently there is some pictures floating around, not so much on the internet, but there's a few people within the industry that have pictures of the game that were discussing it, and they find it apparently that the game that they were discussing is a single level sort of late 70s, early 80s type playfield, which apparently was a demand from Quentin Tarantino himself. If there would be a Pulp Fiction game, it had to be in the style of those games. And, well, TNA, of course, is also a single-level playfield with an 80s feel to it. So you can still do a lot with that. I haven't seen the pictures myself. I haven't seen them on the internet either. Maybe they don't exist at all. We don't know. But that was what I hear left and right, you know. And the single level 80s
playfield design.
Yeah, that seems like that was confirmed to be by multiple people that are in the know. So if this is a Chicago gaming game, I hope so. But it's going to be different than what we've seen from them up to now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they did do a single level game. I think there's the Vacation America a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that didn't look like an 80s game.
Well, it played like an 80s game, but yeah, it was just a single level game, I think. So they have done them in the past, but it'll be interesting to see whether that actually just turn out to be true. But
right. Well, on that subject, maybe this would be a good time to give Gary Flower a call.
If anyone knows, Gary would know.
Exactly.
Yes, and now I know that Gary is heading off to the Midwest Gaming Classic. It might even be at the airport around about now. So hopefully we can get to speak to him before he boards his plane and heads over to Chicago and goes up to Milwaukee from there and has a fabulous time at the MGC. So let's give him a call and see what he can tell us.
Right. Okay, let's hear it.
Hi there.
Hey, Gary, this is Jonathan, and Martin's also here.
Hi, Gary.
I'm at the airport now.
Oh, you're at the airport, right? Yeah.
Ladies and
we
gentlemen,
were actually going to ask
passenger Gary Flower is present. Please report to the desk.
Oh.
Passenger Gary Flower.
He's being called to the desk.
I can hear that.
I've just been called back to the check-in desk. I don't know what's going on, so I'll have to catch up with you soon.
Oh.
Bye for now.
And that's it.
Oh.
Okay, well, we tried.
Well, we'll see if we can talk to him once he's got his his situation cleared up there and knows he's actually on the plane or going to be on the plane. But anyway, moving on then. So we didn't get to talk to Gary just then. Let's move.
Sorry, it didn't work, but we'll try again.
Of course. Yeah, if not now, then later. Then, move on to Haggis Pinball, because it's been quite an interesting time for them as well.
It's been a quiet time.
Well, it has been up until now, but...
not for them, but the news updates,
well, yes.
They went very, very silent.
They did indeed, and claim that Damien said that they've been basically heads down working on making the Fathom Revisited remakes. But and to prove that, they produced a video which showed some gameplay. So and quite extensive gameplay of the new Fathom game, and
you can find it on their Facebook page.
I thought it looked great. And we were hearing about the rules that have gone into the new version, and it sort of seems like it's already quite extensive, but then there's still got more to add, and is quite in keeping with the feel and the overall age of the machine. So it's not gone completely stupid with 8-ball multi-balls or anything stupid like that. It is. It uses the existing hardware in a better way, I suppose.
Yeah, the only problem was I couldn't see them make the ramp shop any time.
There'll be a reason for that,
right? So I kid. There was no ramp on Fathom.
Yeah.
So, but the good news is they confirmed that they finished the production of Kelt. So the focus is completely now on the production of Fathom. They discussed that they would be sending out the series ticket holders games first, and then the Mermaid edition, and then the standard edition, which doesn't have the enhanced gameplay. So, if you wonder what that series ticket is, that's a 6,000 Australian dollars non-refundable deposit across the next 4 remakes. So $1,500 per remake, to lock in the same serial number on all 5 remakes, even though they haven't been announced yet.
Yeah, so you're basically putting a $1,500 Australian dollar deposit down on remakes 2, 3, 4, and 5, so you can keep the same serial number across the Fathom and the other 4, but. As Jonathan just said, it hasn't been announced what those other remakes are going to be. There's a certain leap of faith there.
If you're lucky, Centaur is one of them. If not, you might get Strikes and Spares.
Yeah.
Just to name a title, nothing against Strikes and Spares.
No, I love Strikes and Spares. I think it's a great game. But
I think it has the best back glass ever.
Oh, yes.
Probably. Yeah.
Good old Kevin O'Connor. Yes. I also had fun doing that. But anyway... as you say, that's the order in which they're going to send them out. And as I said just now, they did show some of the gameplay of the Mermaid edition with the extra lighting and the new rules.
Yeah, there will be a link to that video in the Pinball Magazine newsletter that will go out a few days after this podcast is published. Okay. So if you're receiving that, then it's easy to find the video.
Yep, absolutely. I thoroughly recommended to read that as well to get extra up to date details that may have happened after we finish recording this as well. Okay, so I think that's all from Haggis, but from one Australian company to another company owned by an Australian, even if it's not in Australia.
Yeah, Homepin, which is happy birthday to them, 14 years in business. Actually, as of last month, they started out in February of, I think, 2008.
That would be right, yep.
Yeah, and as many may not realize, they started off as a replacement part manufacturer, and they got into designing pinball machines much later on.
Yes. Indeed, and which is where we pick them up now.
Right. So for those not in the know, Homepin is currently working and teasing their next pinball machine, which is called This Is Spinal Tap. And one of the biggest news, I suppose, this month is that they countered a rumor which we actually heard at the Texas Pinball Festival somewhere. Well, you know how that goes. People talk. But there was somebody from inside the industry claiming that Homepin lost the Spinal Tap license and that they would not be able to make the games anymore. And Homepin countered that by posting on Facebook a list of the licensors with who they are working together, and basically stating that the game is still on.
Right. Okay.
They might have missed a couple of deadlines getting the game out, but those were partly out of their control, and not an issue for the licensor to stop them.
No one seemed particularly concerned about that. I think the big one was to do with Marshall, but that didn't seem to be a problem in the end. So, I don't think that the deadline there it was a real one. It was just an ambition.
Right.
So anyway, another thing they've also been talking about is the fact that the company will not be, Homepin that is, will not be promoting the game This Is Spinal Tap themselves, but will be relying on their distributors to handle all the promotion for it, including gameplay videos and marketing campaigns and such.
Yeah, which I'm not sure that's such a smart move, because not every distributor knows about marketing.
No, you think it would be a joint effort, really, wouldn't you? From that, Homepin would talk about the game, and then when the distributors would talk about selling, about the deals they have on, and how they would actually get the games to customers.
Right.
And the warranty support, of course, as well.
Right. So, but
anyway,
that's partly explains why the Homepin factory Facebook page basically shows progress from the factory, and mostly that.
Well, I think that's what it says. I mean, there's a comment there. It says it's called Homepin Factory for a reason. It's about the factory, what's happening in the factory, not what's happening for home sales or anything like that, which is handled by distributors. So
right,
yeah. So it's almost getting back to the playfield issues we were talking about before. That Homepin are a supplier of games to their distributors, and then distributors sell them, just like Mirko provides as a supplier of playfields to Josie Jack, and Josie Jack then sells them. Right.
So now there is a bit of news on delays. One of the delays is caused by a flood that hit the Australian video animator, who had a few feet of water through his workplace a couple of weeks ago. And it has taken him a bit of time to reorganize and get back into finishing the job for Homepin.
Which is nasty.
It's not very pleasant, but still very understandable that obviously you need time to get your feet dry, I suppose.
Yes. One of the interesting things or another one of the interesting things that was been on their social media feed was that it showed that they're using a removable pop bumper assembly, which is something which Highway Pinball looked into do, or did in fact do, which means that if you need to service a pop bumper for any reason, you just unbolt the existing one or unscrew it. The whole mechanism drops out of the playfield, and you bolt in a new one and plug it back in, and off you go.
Right.
So
not exactly.
It's not new.
I mean, it's not exactly new. I mean, Bally did that in the early '80s on games like, I think, 8-Ball Deluxe and in that era.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, because it kind of implies that it's really more for operators who want to have limited or minimum downtime on their games. But I'd wonder how many operators are going to be operating Spinal Tap games, particularly when they're not going to be produced in vast quantities. I think Mike Kalinowski, who owns Homepin, has already said that they're not looking to make thousands upon thousands of these. So
no,
but maybe that's something they're going to be using going forward on all their games. Right.
So you noticed something interesting about the cabinet for this is Spinal Tap. Can you get into that? I mean, it features the Union flag artwork.
Yes. Yes, the artwork of it is. There was a picture on a Highway Entertainment website promoting the game. It's an external cabinet image, but doesn't show anything of the playfield. It's just got black glass on it, and the back box as well isn't there, or it isn't showing anything. But it does have a speaker panel on it, which has the Marshall logo and a display as well. And yes, on the cabinet there is it's kind of which says this is Spinal Tap. There is like a Union Jack, the UK flag, but it's not right because it's missing some components, which is odd because it's the same kind of angle as used on the Spinal Tap album, The Sun Never Sweats, which does have the requisite bits in it, but it's not on the playfield cabinet, so that's a bit strange. A Spinal Tap moment there, which is somebody from the UK would pick up on that, notice that. But one other thing I did notice on that was it mentioned about the licensing for Marshall speakers and the band as well, but also mentioned about license for Mapex drums, which there's no sign of that on the cabinet or back box, so presumably they're going to have drum model on the playfield. Maybe the bumpers or something will have drums on.
I can elaborate on that. There is a drum kit at the back of the playfields with the Spinal Tap logo. I think that's referring to that. And there will be a picture of that in the upcoming Pinball Magazine newsletter.
Wow. Congratulations.
Scoop.
Yep. Very good. Okay. One other thing I noticed from their social media feed was they showed a serial number plaque from the back of Tap Game 001. Interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, it only goes to 3 digits. So implies they're not looking to make more than 999 of them.
Isn't there a lamp next to it that if they go past 999, a lamp shows up and that counts as 1,000?
1,000 when lit. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Could well work. Yeah. And also, it showed the game uses only 85 watts of power. That was at 230 volts AC, which means that. I guess that's the peak value, which means it pulls in 0.37 amps, so just over a third of an amp for the entire game. So that's very energy efficient, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you could have a 13 amp circuit. You could have, 36 of them or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So,
just musing when I saw that. I thought, that's a very low power usage. So nice. I mean, Mike's obviously a bit of an expert when it comes to
electronics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, no, that's very good. So, energy sufficient or efficient.
That's what we need. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a very green pinball.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the colours of it yet, but yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah. Well, so your local builder.
Dutch Pinball. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I don't want to rub it in, but I actually happened to be talking to Barry Dreesen, the owner of the company, last night for over 2 hours. Lots of stuff I can't discuss here.
Of course.
They are still building the Big Lebowski, which has a steady flow of orders coming in, which is a good thing because they can keep on building them.
And the more new orders they build, the more early achiever games they should be able to fulfill.
Yeah, and speaking of that, my game is 161, and Barry told me that, well, I should put it in a different order. I got invited, and you as well, by the way, for a housewarming party for the new Dutch Pinball factory, where they actually are already almost, at least for a year, probably even longer.
Yes, we covered that.
But due to COVID, they never got to do a proper housewarming inauguration for them. They are doing to do so on May 27th, which is a Saturday.
It's a Friday, I think.
It's a weekend somewhere.
I think the email I got said it was a Friday.
Okay. Anyway, it's a few days after Barry's own birthday. And as I'm still waiting for a game, I asked, should I bring a car big enough to take my game home? To which Barry responded, "What's your number?" I told him it's probably, I think it's 161. And he said, well, it's not going to be in May, but it's going to be this year. So that's quite optimistic for me, since I'm only waiting for it for like 8 years now. But so there's that. Make of that what you want.
Well, presumably that indicates they have enough orders for new orders to get that far down the list.
Yeah. Or just to clarify, Dutch Pinball is currently they're currently building like 1 out of 4 games that is built is going to somebody, an early achiever that already paid for the game up front 8 years ago. They're still behind on that production schedule, but they need the new orders coming in to keep everything going, basically.
And needless to say, Cointaker had a Big Lebowski on their stand at the Texas Pinball Festival as well to take more orders.
Right, and from what I hear, they have no problem selling them.
Yeah, probably have more problems making them.
Yeah, that's probably the issue, but more manufacturers are dealing with that these days.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, they're far from alone in that.
Yeah, so, and, Dutch Pinball still expanding their staff. It's not everybody that they hire that turns out to be a good fit. But there's a new guy starting this Monday, and they seem to be very happy that he's on board. So hopefully that will increase production as well. Good.
Okay. Well, I hope to be able to get over to their factory warming party on May the 27th as part of a few days over in the Netherlands. So I shall hope to see you and Barry and everyone else there, and then not too far in the future. What was it? About 8 weeks' time, I suppose.
Yeah. Right. That would be fun.
Right. It would be nice. So, moving on anyway to, some of the other companies that we haven't covered yet. One ex-company we'll start with then, which is Deep Root Pinball, who, as we know, been in bankruptcy, and has been, as we reported before, an auction of the contents of their offices in San Antonio, initiated by the landlord who wanted all the equipment out, and got a court order allowing him to put them up for auction as part of the bankruptcy proceedings in order to recover some money.
Right.
And that's been going on.
Actually, I think it already closed, but there might be some lots that haven't been auctioned off yet. I didn't follow it very precisely.
No, it was a bad time because we were over in Texas for most of it, or at least planning to be over there and arranging things. So we haven't been keeping that close an eye on what's been going on.
Right. So, I think there were I'm not sure whether the counting started at 001, I think the number of lots went up to 380. There were a couple of what I would say interesting lots, which had prototype playfields, games, mock-up games like.
Well, as Fire and Brimstone was in there. I think Food Truck was in there.
Exactly,
Yukon Yeti as well. There were versions of all those games in amongst Whitewoods or even pre-Whitewoods, almost like foam core.
Yeah, and that's the word I was looking for. Foam core mock-ups of certain games.
Mm-hmm.
I did look into the auction results, and what I could see is I think that most of that interesting stuff that we just described was bought up by two people, both coming from Texas. And I think one got some stuff that the other wanted, and vice versa. But they're both looking to make the Raza games that were also auctioned off playable. And who knows what happens with the playfield designs that's also in whatever they bought.
Yeah, allegedly those Raza games had the software either wiped or destroyed before the company closed. Well, before the software could be released into the wild, shall we say? So that remains the property of the company which was writing it for them.
Yeah. So not really banning prices, so to speak, at this auction. I think one of the prototype lots went for $8,000, or one of the Raza games went for $8,000, which is almost a bargain because that's usually what you pay for a new game anyway.
Yeah.
And now you get a prototype of which only 2 exist.
Yeah, without any software, of course, but
but okay. Well, that's
not necessarily
minor hiccup. Yeah.
Not necessarily impossible to either write your own or do a deal with the company who owns it in order to get it. But
most of the other office stuff and equipment went for I'd probably say bargain prices. If you wanted to start a pinball company, this would be this was the best time to start it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the most interesting point was that there was so much equipment in there because it had long been mooted that there was never any intention to actually build games. They didn't have any manufacturing capability at all. But as it turned out, there was an awful lot in there, and in fact, too much in many ways. There were two router machines. There was stuff. There was equipment for making parts that no sane person, but no business savvy person would choose to make themselves. They'd contract it out to a local manufacturer. But
right.
They obviously wanted to do all that stuff in house and bought the equipment to do it. Whether they had the people to actually drive it is another matter, and that's something we've seen at other companies before. You might have the equipment, but you haven't got the skills. It's no use. But no, there was a lot of value. You're starting to see where some of that money went in buying all this equipment, and
how that money basically evaporated.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of destroys the idea that the intention there was never an intention to actually build games, but to sell the company. Because if you're going to do that, why would you have all the equipment there? So it just makes it even more unfathomable, if you pardon the pun, as to exactly what the plan was with that company to ever get any money. I mean, no one could seriously think that they were going to be making money from making pinball machines in the short term. But that's seems to be the only explanation. I was going to say rational explanation, but it's not rational. So I don't know. It just muddies the water even more to see how much equipment there was in that factory or in that office. And I guess, as you say, if somebody wanted to get into the business of making pinballs, that's a good source to buy it back relatively cheap.
Right. So, and I suppose that wraps it up for Deep Root Pinball. But then again, there's still
it's the
court hearings going on.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, and instead of the 5 days of Deep Root, I suppose we get the Fifth Amendment of Deep Root.
You have to get 5 years of Deep Root, I think. 5 years of Deep Root court cases. But anyway,
so that's still going on. So there might still be some news.
I'm sure we will be back. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not the end, but it is the end.
It's the beginning of the end, if not the end of the beginning. So moving on to Pinball Adventures up in across the border in Vancouver, and limited news from them really. Just on their Instagram feed, they're sort of showing they started working on a second Punny Factory playfield, but it didn't look like there was really much in the way of manufacturing there. It's like, well, here's a playfield on a rotisserie, and there's a few bits populated on it.
Well, I think you just said it correct. Here's a playfield on our rotisserie. So that means one rotisserie, which is hardly manufacturing.
No, I don't think. Well,
it's basically building a prototype.
Yeah, or a sample game or something. It's. Although I have to say, I did see some pictures of some of the playfield toys on there. The sort of the punny machine, and then I can't remember what the other parts on the playfield were, but they're plastic part. But they were decorated very nicely. They're really impressive. The level of detail given to the paint job they've done on them, make it look sort of old and cranky and battered and weather beaten. No, look really good. Surprised me compared to the rest of the theme, which is sort of light and bright. But this looked so almost like something completely different, but very nicely done.
So if they're building one game a month, they're still ahead of some of the competition.
That's true.
Who basically have problems building any games right now due to ongoing supply chain issues.
Yes, that is as we say, and we say it. Who said it for many months, and I'm sure we're going to be saying it again for many more months. Getting the parts and getting them shipped to you, and getting them at a reasonable price is a huge challenge for anybody looking to manufacture pinball.
Right. Oh well, that's all the news on Pinball Adventures, I suppose. There was no news from Quetzal Pinball or Bitronic from Spain, who are working on their Super Hoop game. Yeah,
I haven't seen anything more about that in the past month.
But I figured I'd mention it anyway.
Oh yeah, just good to keep them in mind. And another company which where there was no news really was Circus Maximus.
Which is more disturbing, I would say.
Yeah, we were expecting to see them. Just to recap, they were doing the Kingpin remake, and with the intention then of using that the funds from that to make the Pinball Circus, the Python's Pinball Circus. But they were scheduled to be a vendor at the Texas Pinball Festival.
Yeah, listed at the website as well.
Yeah, and there's a space marked out for them on the floor. And no show, I'm afraid, there.
Well, there was a show, but they didn't show.
That's true. Yes, they were a no-show. So there was some video games.
Without any notice. And I understood that the organization of TPF reached out. And one of the persons involved in Circus Maximus indicated that he wasn't coming to the show. And the other didn't basically respond.
That's disappointing, because they're normally a regular exhibitor there.
Yeah.
Normally have a very large stand of parts, which is where Mayfair Amusements were this year, and would generally have their Kingpin game there as well for people to play. But nope, not there this year, and no news, and it's been a long time since we've heard anything really from Circus Maximus about any of their or either of their projects. So fingers crossed it's still happening, but it's not looking
people
great.
People are already afraid that or basically boldly stating it's not going to happen. And hopefully that's not the case. But it seems to me that if this is basically down to a 2 or 3 man project, if you want to make this happen, you need a bigger team. And you can't do everything by yourself. That's basically a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, well, I think they had 3 people working on it at one point, but that's not enough. Certainly not for a big project like that. But one new project which has reached production and is on sale now was announced at the Texas Pinball Festival from...
technically, already the cat was out of the bag before the Texas Pinball Festival.
It was officially announced, shall we say, and shown to the public was the Totan, the Tales of the Arabian Nights, the Forgotten Tales upgrade kit from being sold by Mirko Playfields with Mirko circuit boards and display panel as well, but also using the fast pinball board set as well. It's basically adds a whole 7 more stories, 7 more tales to the existing Tales of the Arabian Night gameplay, as well as some other features as well in there. Some new rules. It has a new display panel, which is a color LCD, color LED or LCD. I can't remember which one it was. But it's a color display, and it has a bunch of inserts along the bottom to represent the new tales. So the existing ones are on the playfield, and the new ones are on the back box. And it has upgraded speakers. And I'm trying to think what else was in it. It seems like it's kind of not quite finished, because what's being sold at the moment is a beta or a beta version of it.
Right. Which still needs some testing and.
It kind of it's supposed to be. It logs various aspects of the gameplay and the buyers are asked to upload those log files to Mirko so that they can analyze them and see if the game is behaving exactly as it's intended to. And if they do that, they get some kind of gift, but it was unspecified exactly what that gift would be. And it's this kit is only available through Mirko Playfields, and it's not being sold through any other distributors. So that's
okay.
Go to mirkoplayfields.com if you want. I think the cost was €27.50 or something like that, euros.
Yeah, quite expensive for a kit, I'd say. But hey, if you look at the price of what pinball machines are doing, can't blame anybody for asking that.
No, that's right. No, it's it's not quite finished yet, and but when they've sold all the beta kits, I think they said there were 50 of them or something like that. Then they'll do the full production version of it, which again will still only be available through Mirko.
Right. So oh well.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
We wish him best of luck. Obviously, not only with that, but also with his playfields and the complaints that people may have about those. But let's leave it at that.
Yes,
for now.
Absolutely. Other than that,
last but not least, we had a European trade show at the beginning of the month, the EAG International Expo held in London.
Indeed, yes.
And you were lucky enough to go there.
I was. It was postponed from January, which is the normal time that it's held. So pushed back a couple of months. And on the pinball front, pretty disappointing, I'd have to say, in that Stern Pinball were the only pinball manufacturer represented there. Not entirely a surprise, because overall I'd say that the attendance by vendors and visitors was down on previous years. I think there was still a certain hesitation in coming to a trade show like that. So it was quite quiet at the show. But Stern, to their credit, put on a very good show on the stand of their UK distributor Electrocoin. They had 5 games there. They had 2 of the new Rush titles, a Pro and a Premium. Had a Godzilla Pro, a Mandalorian Pro, and an Avengers Infinity Quest Pro. Bear in mind, this is mainly a trade show, so they're pushing the pros over home models. But they did have the Premium Rush there, so you could see the difference between the two, which was nice. They had quite a little turnout there. They had newish Stern Pinball president Seth Davis was there with Gary Stern, Doug Score, and Wei-Sun Cheng. Now Wei-Sun is sort of the lead programmer behind the Insider Connected kit or system, and he was there to help answer any questions about it, and also set it all up and keep it running. And they were doing high score leaderboards on each of the games played, although the rushes were grouped together. So you could keep track of your score, and you could log in and sign up for Insider Connected through that. And Seth Davis did a short presentation on 2 of the days about Insider Connected to sort of assemble an audience.
I hear, from what I hear, that was a very short presentation.
It was probably 5 minutes, really, pretty much. Handed out flyers about it. I had a nice chat with him about that and data protection and how they're dealing with the various legal issues around the world. But it was pretty standard corporate stuff. Yes, we got all our lawyers have been looking into this and sorted it out, and we put the system through numerous different tests and brought in companies to ensure it's a secure platform and all that kind of stuff. That's it, really. There was one other pinball at the show, which was a Big Buck Hunter Pro that was just on another stand, which was selling a cashless payment system, and it was just to illustrate how different types of coin-op machines can integrate with their system. So you couldn't play it, but it was there to show that you could add credits to it from your phone or other device.
Okay.
And that really was about it. No, it wasn't an awful lot. I didn't even bother doing a video this year because of a walk around, because it was kind of like a subset of what you'd have seen last time we had a show.
I'm glad I didn't make the trip.
It wouldn't have been worthwhile. I was kind of in and out in a couple of hours, and just then spent the rest of the time talking to people and sharing a beer with our good friend Adionka.
Right. Yeah.
And that's it, really, from the EAG show report. Again, if you're really interested, pinballnews.com has a report on that too.
Right, as on the Texas Pinball Festival.
And along with you, pinballmagazine.com as well.
Pinball-magazine.com, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, and there will be, of course, the Pinball Magazine newsletter going out in a couple of days. I really like to finish my Texas Pinball Festival report first, so I can link to that in the newsletter. And as I mentioned earlier, I will have probably 3 exclusive photos, playfield close-ups of This is Spinal Tap from Homepin in that newsletter.
I look forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, I think that kind of wraps it up for this PINcast, looking back at March 2022, which, according to reports that we've received from people at the Texas Pinball Festival, is listened to by many people in the industry. So thank you for all your feedback.
It's the podcast the pinball industry listens to.
Yeah, apparently so. So nice to know, and thank you for all the kind words and no harsh words either. Everybody who seemed to enjoy this.
Right. Okay. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back at the beginning of the next month.
Yep. So until then, have a lovely time, and we'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.